Hello, welcome back to the James Ramblin' Reviews. So, I'm gonna be talking about something really strange, and recently it's gotten so strange that everyone just loves it. I'm, of course, talking about Stranger Things. If you don't know, right, there's a new season that came out, which I will be reviewing. But before we get into that, I want to give my thoughts on the other seasons, just so I can bring you up to speed with what I think with the other seasons. So, and also I'll mention the plot as well. So I'll jump straight into the plot and then I'll give my thoughts on that as the seasons, and I'll try not to make this a spoiler review either. I'll try my best to make this spoiler free because this only came out a week ago, this new season. So I'll try my best, the new part of the new season. So I'll try my best to make it spoiler free. So Stranger Things is this show set in the 80s, set in 1983, set in Hawkins, Indiana, which is this place, and you have this government lab. You have all these people with these test subjects. The one test subject's 11. She is this girl with all these special abilities, born with these special abilities. You learn about her, and you also learn about these kids that play Dungeons and Dragons, and that's Dustin, Lucas, Mike, Will. They also have Joyce, Hopper, he's a cop, and you learn about the cop. And you've got Steve Harrington, you've got all these characters that play into this story. And in the first season, Will goes missing, and there's the Upside Down, right? The Upside Down is this alternate reality in the show, and he goes to that, and they have to try and get him out of there. And as the season progresses, you already know what's going to happen, right? They manage to find him, and that kind of thing happens, and then it kicks off for there, and that's season 1. Season 2, it continues the story of Will, and Will has all these flashbacks to the times he was in the Upside Down, and he's fight the Shadow Monster and the Mind Flayer. These are these monsters, and also the Demogorgons. Forgot to mention that the Demogorgons are actually from Dungeons and Dragons, and it's incorporated into this story, and all these characters have to defeat that, and then you have a lot of things like that. And I thought season 2 was actually, it had a lot of action, and it expanded the story a bit. But there's this one episode called The Lost Sister that I was just kind of like, they didn't really need to make this, right? Because 11 goes on this like mini side quest, and it wasn't worth it, and it was just boring, and it didn't make sense to the story. It was just a side quest. So that was one part of it where it was like, oh my god, why are they doing this? Like, why? It doesn't make sense. And I found that in the first season, right, they closed the gate from the Upside Down, which is that, so that the other things couldn't get into the actual real world versus this other world. And they did that in season 2, where 11 closes it again. And then we get to season 3, right? We get to season 3. I hear all these things. Oh, it's the best out of season 1 and 2. Oh, what? It's so good. It's like the best thing ever. I watched this, and I question where the writers went, where these actual writers went with this season. Because in the third season, right, we get back to 11, we get back to Will, we get back to all of these characters, right? Oh, Jonathan, I forgot to mention Jonathan and Nancy and stuff like that. They were other characters, and Nancy almost got into the Upside Down in season 1, but yeah. Just a thing to add on there. But yes, when it gets to season 3, I think season 3 easily the worst season in my opinion. Okay, right. You barely get. It's very slow. It's this 80s vibe. It's like summer vibes. It's not spooky and scary as you remember it in the first 2 seasons. It's like changing the tone. It's not making it as good as it used to be. And there was this whole rat storyline, and these rats, and this woman, this old lady fertilizer, and also Max and Billy were in season 2, but they play a big part in season 3 as well, because Billy is actually the villain. Billy is Max's sister, and she's this ginger haired girl, and she plays a big part in season 3 and 2, I guess, because she was actually introduced, and then they have season 3 makes her more important. And then all of this stuff involves Billy and this whole thing, and the battle of the Starcourt Mall, and how the Russians get into this. I didn't get it at the time. Like, the Russians made absolutely no sense in the story. They randomly brought this in here. I was like, what? Why are the Russians here? Why are the Russians here? But then you go back to season 1, right, where this lab that 11 was in with Dr. Brenner and stuff, they were actually trying to get the Russians, and the Russians do actually play a big part in season 4, but in season 3 they were useless. They felt like these dumb things that made absolutely no sense. And you actually got Lucas, you met Lucas's sister as well, and there's also Susie, who Dustin tries to communicate with, and there's a lot of things that happen in this season that I actually think made no sense. 11 and Mike kind of split up, and it was weird, and also Hopper felt like a dumb dad, and I don't know what happened in that season. But season 3, easily the worst season in my opinion. You could say season 2 is bad as well because of that one episode, and because it is kinda, when people say this, I do actually think that in ways this season 2 was a regurgitation of the first season, which has happened with a few things. Like, you've had things that in movies and shows that retread the same themes and stuff like that, and it doesn't work the second time round because they've not tried anything interesting and new. So that's basically my thoughts on season 1, season 2, season 3, the plot and that kind of thing. And I think season 1 is better over season 2 and 3, but season 2 had a lot of action. So yeah, that is the first section. So this is a bit of a long section of this episode. I want to make this a bit longer so I can flesh out the review a bit more, because the other reviews have been these short things. So season 4, this is split into 2 parts. We get these characters again, we get into this situation again, but this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are facing Vecna, and we don't actually find out about Vecna until like the 3rd episode of this season. But right off the bat, we go straight back into this. We get caught up with 11. We do that kind of thing, and she's getting bullied at school. And this section of the season, this section of season 1, she gets bullied, and all these things happen to her. It just felt weird, and she didn't have her powers anymore. I know it continued from season 3, where in that Battle of the Starcourt, she lost her powers because she had just lost a lot of energy, and she got that injury on her leg and stuff. But aside from that, I think the way they just made her feel weak, and at the start of this season it actually goes in, right, and it goes with this flashback to when 11 was killing all these children, and it made you think that 11 was the person behind this. But when you watch it more, right, I won't go into too much spoilers, but when you go into this season more, you figure out that maybe, without giving too much away, this is not 11 at all. So yeah, that's this first part, and I think the first part of this season is the worst part of this season, because when it gets to season 4 to when it gets to see episode 4 to episode 9, this is when the show begins. This is when it all kicks off. You learn more about Vecna, and also you get Eddie, and you get all these characters. Eddie is this metalhead, and he's a part of the Hellfire Club, and there's also the basketball team. There is a lot of things going on. But the Russians, there's actually this whole basketball thing, right, and then there's that whole case with Chrissy, and she dies, and this other boy dies, and this is the start of the season, by the way, it's not really a spoiler. So they die, and that kind of thing happens, and then as the story progresses, we get to Max, and she's running up that hill, and you see that happening, and then she kind of, because of this song, she's able to escape Vecna, and we see how people can escape Vecna now. So that kind of thing happens, and it shows you how Vecna, what it takes to, be around Vecna and stuff. So that happens, and thank the Lord, right? Thank the Lord, because 11 gets her powers back, and also Hopper gets his own little storyline. He's actually in Alaska, which is technically Russia at this time, so this was in the 80s, and Alaska was kind of part of Russia in the 80s. So he's in this prison, right, and he's just there that whole time. And you also have Mike, Jonathan, Argyle, which is a new character. There's a lot of new characters in this season, I must say, but they're on this adventure, and they're kind of like the sideline characters, and Will's a part of that as well. But they aren't as important as Vecna, Max, and stuff like that. They are like sidelined, but it makes sense because they aren't necessarily the main characters now. There is another storyline coinciding with this, as I said, because you got the Russian storyline, but the Russian storyline makes way more sense. And I think overall, season 4 definitely as good as season 1, maybe even better. Once season 5 comes out, I definitely think the show will pick up steam, and it will hopefully deliver on the end. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on the entire of Stranger Things so far. This is gonna be sort of a season 4 review, because I already just did that segment of talking about the other seasons. So season 4, yeah, there's a lot that went on in this season, and the final 2 episodes, or the final episode, is actually 2.5 hours long, which it is very good though. It's very good. It makes sense. It is an emotional roller coaster of a ride, but with that said, it was still good. And it was sad, but I won't give any spoilers, because I know I have this one friend who's actually watching it right now. So if he watches this review and he finds out that I'm making this video, right, and he's like, oh my god, James, you're gonna spoil this for me. And he did say he was gonna watch the final episode on Saturday, so I'm not gonna say anything in case he watches this, or if he doesn't watch this, that's fine. But I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. The next episode of the James Rams Show will be out, but you'll get this too. You'll get a double whammy, right? This will be like Stranger Things 4 Volume 2. You'll get 2 in 1 instead of them being a part of the first volume. So, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Just remember, a lot of things get strange. Flickery lights, flickery lights, flickery lights. The Demogorgon's coming. Hawkins is in danger. Bye. That Metallica shirt, wearing it. That Metallica scene was so good. That guitar solo, yeah.